Welcome to Personal Injury Marketing Minute.
Welcome to the Personal Injury Marketing Minute, where we quickly cover the hot topics in the legal marketing world. I'm your host, Lindsay Busfield, the Vice President and Partner at Optimize My Firm. In today's Spotlight on PIMM episode, I'm joined by Cassidy Lewis, the Chief Marketing Officer at Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers. Cassidy leads the firm's marketing strategy across digital, branding, and community initiatives with a strong focus on creating consistent and client-centered experience. Today, we're talking with Cassidy about her upcoming PILMA presentation and everything related to marketing that she is going to be addressing at the conference there. And so, Cassidy, I'm so excited to have you back on the show today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us.
Thank you for having me, Lindsay. I'm glad that you invited me back.
Oh, our first episode together was great, and I highly encourage everybody listening today to go and check out our first conversation starting last year. And so, Cassidy, for those who missed it, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Cooper Hurley.
Sure. So Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers is an injury law firm. We're located in Hampton Roads, Virginia. And for those that are not familiar with Hampton Roads, one of our main cities is Virginia Beach. We're headquartered in Norfolk. We have 9 locations. And we are the car crash experts. So if you are an attorney listening and you need to refer a case in Virginia, refer it to us.
They are the go-to firm for everything car accidents in Virginia.
Absolutely. I joined Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers about 8 years ago. I keep saying over 15. It gets closer and closer to 20. Over 15 years
Sneak up
of
on you.
Yes, it's over 15 years of marketing experience. Started in politics and just worked for a few Fortune 500s on my own shop and have been here for, like I said, over 8 years and love the breadth of marketing that I get to participate and lead. We're about 12 lawyers, 55 employees. 4 of those employees are here in the marketing department with me.
That's fantastic. And so, again, if anybody has any referrals that they need to send out in Virginia, get in touch with Cooper Hurley and get in touch with Cassidy. They'll take great care of you. And Cassidy and I met each other through PILMA last year, and excited that we're going to be presenting this year. So, Cassidy, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be speaking on. I know you've got a couple of different presentations and information venues that you're going to be sharing this year.
Yes. So when I am on stage, I will be talking about attorney referral marketing systems called Million Dollar Relationships. And I am going to my goal is to get the audience to build a system around their attorney referral marketing as opposed to having it fall in their lap. Like, oh, that one guy I went to law school with, yeah, he'll refer me a case. Or I saw Susan at the bar event, she'll refer me a case. And that's just not how it works, right? B2B marketing is its own industry. It's its own thing, right? And when you give it the respect it deserves, you will reap the benefits. And so I'll talk about the attorney referral system that we've built here at Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers. And because of my work in the CMO Academy, I get to see other systems that are built too. I'll talk about some of those systems and what really works for law firms and how we can double our referrals, right? The attorney referrals that you get as a law firm will be some of the highest value cases you will obtain. So that's what I'll be talking about on stage.
And then you're also going to be having a breakout session where you are talking about making marketing plans, right?
Yes. So Ken, who's the organizer of the PILMA conference, shout out to Ken, wants people to walk away with a marketing plan. Now, he asked me to do this a few months ago. It's going to be a little different than your typical marketing plan. I always tell the story, in a former life, I got paid thousands of dollars to build these thick marketing plans for businesses. And I'd call, 3 months later, like, hey, how's that plan going? And they're like, oh, we looked into MailChimp. And I was like, oh my God. So we're going to be building a marketing action plan, right? We have dates, we have specific tasks. My challenge, of course, will be doing this in a group setting. and seeing how this will work out. But I encourage you, if you're going to PILMA, to come to that breakout session if you do not have a solid marketing plan. I'll be teaching you how to build one.
Well, not just build one, but how to follow one. And I think that that's a really excellent point that you made, that you can create the plans and plans and plans. But if you don't actually follow through with it, you're just going to have a really expensive doorstop. And it's not going to do you any good. And I think that there's a common thread between what you're talking about on stage and talking about with your marketing plan, which is this idea of intentionality. And intentionally building out these referral relationships instead of just going, oh, I bet Susan might have a case that comes through next year, but actually creating a plan around it and then executing it. And I think that those really feed in well with each other, right?
Right, right. Yeah. If you don't have intentionality, it's not marketing. You know what I mean? And I think because I'm not gonna go to a soapbox, but I think because things can happen, business referrals can happen, a strategy can sort of take place without the intentionality. People think that they are participating in marketing. You got lucky. Yeah. You it was by the grace of God that Susan remembered you. And so if that intentionality is not there, if the time, if the sweat equity is not put in, it is not marketing.
No, it's getting lucky, and it is, building a relationship that might pan out here and, a sprinkle of, a little zhuzh that might pan out there,
Right.
but there's no structure to it. And especially in the personal injury world where you have cases that might settle quickly, that might take a long time, you need to have something that is predictable coming in. And if you don't have structure to your plan, you don't have any predictable measurement of cases that should be coming in. It's just I hope maybe we get 20 to 30 this year or,
Right. Right.
something like that.
Right.
But by building that intentional structure to it and following through with it, you can not only create an action plan for your team, but have more predictable outcomes on the other side of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. We already live in an unpredictable world, right? Our industry is the very nature for personal injury is the most like unpredictable thing, right? We can't, you look at fashion designers that can plan around the Met Gala or, award season we live in the most unpredictable world. Nobody plans to get into an accident. Nobody plans to call an injury. Nobody plans to do anything that we do. And so we have to control our controllables. You can only do that without just a marketing plan, but a marketing action plan. Because I don't even know how in years past, or anybody creates a plan and there are no dates.
Yeah.
What is that? What like I plan to do it when? I plan to get married. When?
Yeah.
When?
Yeah, no, and if there's no date to it, there's no accountability to it, and I think that that's a massive piece. And so when you are developing the plan, I think it's important to think about who needs to be involved so that you have that accountability and you have that buy-in. So when you are creating a marketing action plan for your team, who are the stakeholders that need to be involved in the development and the accountability for it?
Sure. So I have seen these done. So I do these and I created these maps. We call them maps internally. Several years ago. I have seen them done a few different ways. For my team, every every marketing position creates their own map, right? I'm responsible for brand. So the brand is part of my map. Ty is responsible for community relations. So that's a part of her map. However, I've also seen people sit down with their firm owner, the marketer sit down with their firm owner and do it. I've seen the firm owner sit down with a vendor and create a marketing action plan. It really depends on uh, I guess I'll say it this way. Every firm has its own set of unique stakeholders. You need to identify who the stakeholders are for marketing, right? And then those who will actually get it done. Because if the firm owner does it by his or herself and doesn't include the marketer or the vendors that will actually execute the work, it becomes nothing.
Right.
Right, right, and so it is important to have the right people around the table, but the big thing is to actually get it done.
Right. again, having the plan in front of you is not going to do any good if you don't have any accountability from your team and dates to get this done by, and have some sort of expectation of when you're going to see the results. And so we're thinking through kind of the people who need to be involved, but how do you also think about aligning the marketing plan with the overall goals and objectives of the firm so that it's not just activity, but it's actually driving measurable growth in accordance with the outcomes that you want to be seeing?
That's such a good question. The first step that we do in the marketing action plan is identify our three most important marketing channels, right? They have to be there, right? So if it's like your database, attorneys, right? So maybe like former clients, attorneys, and digital. Something should be done with them every month. Something should be done with those three groups. But additionally, about creating new marketing channels. So what's the one that we need to get into, right? Maybe it's community marketing, right? And so if we need to get into it, sometimes that one that we need to get into is the most important because you just got to start and then you have to watch it snowball. If we know that data that our former clients already refer us cases, it's easy to kind of keep doing stuff. Like I know that that's going to produce, but there was a time where that did not produce, right? And so knowing what will make us money, right? Understanding we'll use a round number, 100 cases a month. And knowing that attorney, former clients, and digital will get us 95% of the way there, identifying either how to make those channels grow and or how to add a channel to get to that other 5% has to be a part of the process, right? If you're marketing without understanding firm goals, or if you're marketing without understanding ROI, we're going back to that intentionality talk, you lack intentionality.
Right.
You just do.
You do. And so I'm sure a lot of the attorneys listening to this are going, okay, I know that these are the important channels, but how do I decide how much of my budget, my financial budget, goes towards each of these activities? Is there a good exercise to go through for that?
The easiest way to do this is let's say that we want 100 cases, okay? Uh, let's say we want 100 cases, okay? We need to figure out what our cost per case is, right? Let's say in a beautiful world, let's say that cases are $10, right? We got 90 cases last year, 90 cases a month last year. We want 100 cases. So we want an additional 10 cases, right? So if we want an additional 10 cases and cases are $10, we need to add $100 to the budget every single month. So we've added at minimum, added $1,200 to our annual marketing budget. Cool. We also need to know what our average cost per case is by marketing channel. That's the part. People will know their average cost per case, but not know it by
Not by
channel.
channel.
And you have to know that because while we get about half of our cases from our database, it's the cheapest cost per case. And really the money spent is time. The resource spent is time. It's not really dollars as much, right? For digital TV billboards, they getting me for everything I've got. Right? And so if I know I need to allocate an additional $1,200 for the year, I need to know by percentage, right? Figuring out, okay, well, the database really only spends 20% of that, right?
Right.
Okay, and then billboards take up 30%, and then figuring it out. That allocation exercise is so unique to every single law firm. I've never seen two look the same. I've popped the hood open on dozens and dozens of firms. They never look the same. And then you might have what people call like a slush fund, like, hey, I know I want to do something new and
Right.
big and all of that. And so what does that look like? What's going to happen new in AI? Do I need to put dollars away for that? Are LSAs going to go like, you know what I mean? And so it's really about understanding your past so that you can forecast well and then have some dollars aside for something brand shiny new that you want to explore.
Right. Having the buckets identified is huge. And I think that, identifying which ones work best for your law firm is really going to be unique. And one of the biggest challenges that we see across law firms everywhere is that idea of attribution. Because whether you have TV commercials or SEO or billboards or buses or whatever it is, all of those things are kind of working in conjunction. And somebody can be like, yeah, I heard your ad on the radio, but then I went to your website
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
but I also know your name because of your commercials. And you know the last touch point, but you don't know how many touch points along the road they might have had that actually led them to pick up the phone and call you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know that there's a great solution to that attribution issue, but just acknowledging that they do work
Exist.
together
Yeah.
and on a case by case basis, they're different for the client acquisition, but also on a campaign by campaign basis, they're different for client
Yeah.
acquisition.
My big thing when it comes to attribution, the big argument is that we as marketers face is one, you need to be consistent. And then two, your intake team has to ask, right? Last touched attribute. And I've been saying last touch attribution was no good for years. Not
Yeah,
because we shouldn't know it. I want to know it. But I want to know most impactful. And that's what I call it. Like when I ask you how you heard about us, what is it that you say that actually made you call us?
right.
Because that is impactful. People are not calling and saying that I heard about you from TV, but I know that it happens, right?
Mhm.
I know that that's where we were introduced. And so my where I see law firms have issues is like maybe they'll switch vendors and that vendor has a different attribution philosophy than the previous ones. And so
Yeah,
you think, oh, digital's doing so well or digital's doing so bad or whatever it is. Like, no, the philosophy changed. As a firm, what is your philosophy on attribution? Stick with that, but also appreciate that we don't live in this singular touch attribution world. We are People are saying it's taken a TV, a billboard, a friend told me, a Google business profile, a review.
and then you showed up first, and it was like the easiest click. Yeah, and it's like it's all of these things working together. And I've always thought that the "Where did you hear from us?" is a good question, and it's important to know the last touch attribution. But it's the "Why did you hire us?" that is more important, and that speaks to this larger brand identity and having consistency, as you said, across the different marketing channels and. Having an understanding of not just where was the introduction, but why did this introduction make sense to you? What was memorable? What resonated with you that made you actually trust us with one of the worst situations of your life?
Right, right. Yeah, and we just implemented that this year for new clients. What after they sign on, like what actually made you hire us? Sometimes they'll say the intake person. Sometimes they'll say, the recommendation. They'll put it out somewhere, which
Yeah.
it'll be the attorney. Which so we kind of discount people. We put all our dollars into digital or all our dollars into TV, but it's the people, that
Yeah.
have such a large impact on the actual hiring of.
It is. It's true. And I mean the people are the make or break. And so no matter how great your commercial is and no matter how great your digital presence is, if your intake team and the people who are actually managing the accounts and treating your clients well aren't doing their jobs and aren't doing right by the clients, your reputation is going to go in a hole.
Right.
And it's not going to matter what you do if you don't have the right people in place and the right corporate culture in place to
Yep.
support it.
Yep. Yep.
And so we talked a lot about kind of developing this plan, the numbers behind it. But I want to go back to an idea that you mentioned a few minutes ago, which was actually implementing this and putting the dates on this. And it made me think, well, the finance resources are a big part of this, and you have to
Mhm.
put your numbers behind that. But how do you actually make sure that people are carving out the time resources to get things done? And, both from the marketing as well as any attorneys that need to be involved in this and intake that needs to be involved in this, how do you make sure that everybody has the time to implement the action on the marketing plan?
It's always a sticking one. I've heard, I won't name the firm, but I'm in a mastermind and one of the biggest firms in the country was saying like it's just difficult to get attorneys to do things sometimes. one thing that I tell marketers is that marketers or the attorney with the marketing mindset that understands and appreciates it. One of our jobs that's not in our job description when we're hired is that we are culture shifters.
Yeah.
We have to shift the internal culture of the office to understand and then appreciate the importance of time as a resource, right? And you have to figure out what that looks like. For me, I do a lot of storytelling because before they can make sure it gets done, they have to appreciate that it has to get done, right? And so talking about what happens when, one of our attorneys, Bill, took another attorney out to lunch and an intake's calling the other attorney like, "Hey, I just got hurt on a railroad." And the attorney's like, "I don't know what to do with this." And Bill's like, "Hey, we do railroad accidents." You know what I mean? And that became one of the top 3 cases for the year that you know what I
Wow.
mean? So
Yeah.
the storytelling part, but then, making sure that it's scheduled. Like it will be on the attorney's calendar, putting the reporting out there. All of like that's why you have to have a system. I'm only going to talk about attorney referral marketing as a system, but your marketing has to have a system. You have to shift the culture, but the culture can only shift if there is a system because culture itself is a system.
Yes.
So what do the SOPs look like? How can you help? Do you send gifts on their behalf? How do you reduce the time friction if time is the biggest friction? Do you organize the lunches yourself? What what can you do to help the system along? Would be
Right.
my answer. But again, things are so unique to the firm.
They are, and everything will change based off of how much an attorney wants to be involved in that system and how what their time constraints are as well. So I think that that's a great point. It needs to be developed, individual to each law firm. But the point is that it needs to be developed
Right.
and there needs to be some structure to it because that's the only way to make sure that it's getting done.
Right.
And so for a firm that knows that they need a more structured approach, what is a good first step for them?
Your first step, I would go back to identifying what makes you money right now, the 3 legs that make you money right now, and then looking at what is the one thing you need to get into.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
I
Everybody knows.
Right, right. And then establishing tasks to those 4 marketing channels every single month. That's what we're gonna do
Yep.
at PIMM. We're going to establish tasks. I'm going to encourage, I'm gonna give some recommendations, but some of that the attendees will need to figure out themselves.
Mhm. I think that's great advice and a really great place to start because I don't know that every attorney really knows what's making them the most money right now. If attorneys listening today, if your team isn't asking, how did you find us? Why did you hire us? Then those are questions that need to be asked. And you need to do something with that data. You need to look at it. You need to understand how that's impacting your business because your law firm needs to be run like a business. And so having the numbers behind it to support creating those buckets and then assigning out the action task. I think that's a great place to start. And so, Cassidy, the last question I'm going to ask you for today is what are you looking forward to most about PILMA this year?
So I always learn. I always tell the joke that I've only missed one PILMA conference, and it was because I was having a baby.
I think that's a good
It's
enough
like
reason.
it's a pretty good excuse. Ken does a really good job at getting really knowledgeable speakers that are going to pop open the hood on their law firm. And so there's always, and it may not even be the main point of their talk, but it's something I picked up in life. Oh shoot, I need to do that, right? That and then everybody there, or everybody I talk to there has the abundance mindset. And so we're sitting around the table and I remember last year I didn't have my laptop or my iPad. I had to grab one of like the hotel notepads because the table conversation was so good. I was like, "You do what?" It's so that balance of having both good speakers and good attendees that both have that abundance mindset is the best. So maybe my final answer is the people there that have the abundance mindset that I get to connect with.
Oh, I love that answer because everybody is there to grow. I mean, it's all about marketing, it's all about growth, it's all about abundance and believing that it can happen. And you're surrounded by people who actually want to take the steps to implement this and have tried things and have had success and have had failures. And you get to learn from all of that. And it's sharing all of that together. So I think I am so excited to be a part of PILMA again this year and can't wait to learn from everybody out there and to listen to your presentation as well. So that's going to wrap up this episode of the Personal Injury Marketing Minute. If you want to learn more about Cassidy Lewis and Cooper Hurley Injury Lawyers, you can find them online at cooperhurley.com. And if you're a personal injury firm thinking about how to build a clearer, more effective marketing strategy and grow to reach your firm's potential, reach out to me at optimizemyfirm.com. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to like, leave a review, share this. Make sure that you don't miss any of our upcoming Spotlight on PILMA episodes. And Cassidy, thank you so much for joining us again today. It has been so much fun having you here, and I can't wait to see you in a couple months.
Absolutely. See you soon, Lindsay.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.